When the Huawei Mate X7 first landed in our hands, the whole team was immediately curious about one thing. How good is the camera on this foldable flagship? As a top-tier foldable, could it really push mobile photography to the next level? And with HarmonyOS 6 making its debut, promising deeper software-hardware optimization, how far could its performance go? To find out, we spent 3 full days shooting with the Mate X7, snapping more than 3,000 photos. We didn't just stick to easy shots like sunrises and sunsets. We threw it into all kinds of extreme lighting conditions, scenes where color clipping happens easily, the kind even DSLR cameras struggle with. On top of that, we also tested several mainstream mobile games to see how the phone handles real-world performance. All right, let's dive in. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Before we get into the hands-on experience, let's take a quick look at the Mate X7's quad camera setup. In the collector's edition, the standout features are its 111.28-inch main sensor and a 10-stop physical aperture. The same setup you'll find in the Mate 80 Pro Max, paired with Huawei's second-generation Hongfeng Primary Color camera. This makes the Mate X7 not just another foldable flagship, but a foldable that also aims to be a camera powerhouse. For comparison, the earlier Mate X6 only had a 1.56-inch sensor. When you look at sample shots taken in high-contrast scenes, the difference in dynamic range is obvious. In the Mate X7 samples, the sky's color is restored more accurately, and shadow areas keep noticeably more detail. In another sunset scene, zooming into the dark areas on the buildings shows that the Mate X7 once again delivers cleaner, more detailed results. Now, increasing sensor size isn't really hard for today's smartphone industry, but a bigger sensor also increases the flange distance, which makes the camera module thicker, something that's especially problematic for foldable phones. Since you can't break the laws of physics, Huawei tackled the issue from the opposite direction, by slimming down the lens to balance out the extra distance created by the larger sensor. But does having a great sensor and a refined lens automatically mean great photos? Not exactly. If that were the case, everyone with a full-frame DSLR would be shooting masterpieces. There are 2 more crucial elements: color and composition. Let's talk about color first. Looking at these 2 sets of photos, the difference jumps out immediately. The key here is color accuracy. Because lighting in real scenes can be very complex and affected by countless environmental factors, even beginners can end up with drastically different results when shooting the exact same subject. In the photos shown, the left side shows images taken with the Hongfeng Primary Color lens blocked, and the right side shows the same shots taken normally. The difference highlights the purpose of the Hongfeng Primary Color Imaging system, to determine and restore the true color of the light in the scene. When paired with Huawei's 9th generation ISP, it acts like a built-in professional colorist, helping you capture colors much closer to reality. For scenes with intense lights or complicated illumination like this night view full of LED rings, color correction is tough even for seasoned photographers. Phones and cameras often struggle to reproduce these colors accurately, but thanks to the spectral sensor, the Mate X7 manages to maintain color accuracy that's almost identical to what you see in person. Huawei may have unveiled the Hongfeng Primary Color system just a year ago, but their journey in color science started much earlier. As far back as 2018, the P20 already featured a color temperature sensor. Then, in 2021, the P50 Pocket introduced a multispectral sensor. Now, with the Hongfeng Primary Color camera, Huawei's long-term exploration of true-to-life imaging is coming together. This generation takes it a step further by improving consistency across multiple cameras and pushing color accuracy in extreme environments. Based on our analysis and the data we gathered, these improvements come from the effective photosensitive distance of the multispectral sensor combined with upgraded algorithms. Whether you're comparing colors across different lenses or matching them with what your eyes see, the Mate X7's color performance is outstanding. With solid hardware and a powerful color calibration system working behind the scenes, now, let's move on to the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to taking great photos with the Huawei Mate X7: composition. Anyone who spent some time learning photography can talk about things like the rule of thirds or symmetry, but actually applying these techniques in the moment is a lot more complicated. Every scene offers endless possibilities. That's why Huawei added a super smart assistant that constantly helps you figure out the best compositional choice no matter what you're shooting. Over the few days we spent testing the phone, countless everyday scenes suddenly became photo-worthy thanks to the Mate X7. With AI-assisted composition guiding you, capturing eye-catching shots becomes surprisingly easy. And there were plenty of moments where the framing I intended matched the suggestions from the AI perfectly. But beyond intentional compositions, life is full of quick moments you don't have time to plan for. Sometimes those spontaneous captures don't turn out exactly how you hoped. With the Mate X7, though, turning on dynamic photos gives you multiple frame options to choose from afterward, which can save many otherwise imperfect shots. In the past, great equipment was often wasted on users who lacked technical experience. With the Mate X7's powerful hardware and large foldable display, Huawei clearly doesn't want that potential going unused. Thanks to AI composition assistance and multi-frame shooting, I genuinely feel like the overall floor for mobile photography is about to be raised. One more thing worth highlighting is how the second-generation Hongfeng Primary Color Imaging system improves video as well. Accurate color across different focal lengths is even more crucial in video, since you're watching a continuous stream rather than individual photos. On the Mate X7, multifocal length color consistency is excellent, and what you see in the preview is almost identical to the final video, truly achieving a what you see is what you get experience. With a maximum dynamic range of 17.5 stops, the Mate X7 becomes even more capable in challenging video environments. In high-contrast scenes, it manages to hold detail in both bright highlights and deep shadows far better than expected. And then there's post-production and exporting. We took a 100-second 4K 60 FPS video shot on the Mate X7, applied 3 effects in CapCut, and exported it on both the Mate X6 and the Mate X7. The Mate X6 needed 2 minutes and 21 seconds, while the Mate X7 finished in 2 minutes and 1 second. A clear 15% speed improvement in export performance. Moving away from imaging, a lot of people are also curious about how the Mate X7 performs when it comes to gaming. And yes, I know, someone will say no one buys a foldable phone to play games. But let's be honest, if you have one and you like gaming, you're definitely going to try. So we gathered a few popular titles from our editorial team and tested them on the Mate X7, using Performance Dog to track frame rate and power consumption. First up are 2 MOBA classics, Honor of Kings and League of Legends Mobile. Because of my own playstyle and the need for a clear view, I ran both games on the external screen with the device folded. All tests were done over Wi-Fi with screen brightness at 50% and volume at 50%. For Honor of Kings, using high-definition graphics and the very high frame rate option, a 23-minute ranked match averaged 119.9 FPS while drawing just 1.51 watts of power. That's extremely efficient. For League of Legends Mobile, we set the frame rate to 120 FPS with high graphics and medium resolution. Over a 16-minute ranked match, the average frame rate again hit 119.9 FPS with power consumption at 4.18 watts. The gameplay stayed smooth the entire time. When it comes to FPS titles, a bigger screen can make a huge difference. With more room to see what's ahead, spotting enemies at long range becomes much easier. That's why I switched to the inner display of the Huawei Mate X7 when testing PUBG Mobile and Delta Force. For PUBG Mobile, I set the game to 90 FPS with HDR high-definition graphics. Over a 26-minute match, the Mate X7 held an average of 89.9 FPS while using just 2.22 watts of power. Delta Force was set to 120 FPS with standard graphics and its realistic visual mode, and after 20 minutes, the power draw averaged 2.82 watts. So what about open world games? The ones that really benefit from a large screen and tend to push hardware the hardest. Next, I tested Genshin Impact, which has already been optimized for HarmonyOS. Running around Rodel Canal Town for 20 minutes on the highest graphics settings produced an average frame rate of 59.9 FPS, with power consumption at 3.97 watts. The Mate X7 maintains stable performance throughout, and even after 20 minutes of gameplay, the surface temperature topped out at just 43.5 degrees Celsius, showing excellent thermal control. For games that haven't yet been adapted for HarmonyOS, I used Zhuoyitong to run Honkai Star Rail and NetEase's Justice Online. Because of how Zhuoyitong works, frame rate data couldn't be recorded. From actual gameplay, there is a noticeable bit of performance loss due to the translation layer, so it's not quite as stable as native apps like Genshin Impact, but the games are still fully playable. Honkai Star Rail ran smoothly at max graphics in both exploration and combat scenes. Justice Online maintained frame rates above 50 FPS during testing. Overall, the Mate X7 delivers surprisingly strong gaming performance. HarmonyOS optimized titles like Genshin Impact already run beautifully, holding stable frame rates even under demanding conditions. And even unadapted games are quite playable through Zhuoyitong. As for battery life, here's a quick roundup based on the 5 games we tested. Exporting a 100-second video clip drained just 1% of the battery. We also tested 1 hour of WeChat video playback over Wi-Fi at maximum brightness. The inner screen used 11% battery and the outer screen used 14%. Both results are very solid. Charging was done using the official 66-watt charger included with the Mate X7. Starting from 10%, the phone reached 20% in 2 minutes 40 seconds, 50% in 13 minutes, 80% in 26 minutes, and hit a full charge in 41 minutes. From all these tests, it's clear that the HarmonyOS gaming ecosystem has taken a meaningful step forward. As the ecosystem continues to grow and improve, the overall gaming experience is only going to get better. Now let's talk design. The Huawei Mate X7 carries forward the family look while introducing some fresh touches. The biggest change is the upgraded time-gate camera module. This new version uses a beveled cut around the entire deco, which visually reduces the thickness of the camera bump. The unit we have here is the Phantom Purple model. It uses a leather-like back texture paired with light gold polished metal elements, giving it an elegant, premium feel. The outer screen is protected by second-generation Xuanwu tempered Kunlun glass, and the hinge uses a Xuanwu water drop structure made from ultra-strong 2350 MHz rocket-grade steel. To check hinge durability, we compared the Mate X7's minimum and maximum opening angles with those of the Mate X6. Starting with the minimum opening angle, the Mate X7 performs exceptionally well. Comparing it directly with the Mate X6, the X7 shows a slight edge. At the maximum opening angle, the camera deco already touches the table, so both hinges are clearly very sturdy. Overall, the Mate X7's hinge is just a bit better in terms of the minimum angle, so durability isn't something you'll need to worry about. This year's Mate X7 shows how far foldable technology has come. It doesn't just keep up with traditional flagship phones, it competes directly with them in imaging, performance, and even software features. And as the HarmonyOS ecosystem grows, its unique advantages are becoming more and more obvious. The base variant of the Huawei Mate X7, 12GB plus 256GB, starts in China at 12,999 yuan, which is roughly 1,078 pounds in the UK and $1,839 in the US. The Mate X7 is proving that foldable phones no longer have to compromise. Issues like weak cameras or limited performance are quickly becoming outdated assumptions. The Mate X7 shows that a foldable can excel in every area. Alright, that wraps up this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our tech family. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.